to the second myth. Remember, we're going in threes. So there are also three assumptions behind this myth. The first one is that as a native speaker, you always have, all native speakers know more vocabulary than any non-native speaker can ever dream of. Number two, all native speakers are at C2 level on the Common European Framework, so at the highest possible level of proficiency. And number three, native speakers are better models of pronunciation, or they speak, they have better pronunciation. So we're going in threes here. Let me tell you another story. My girlfriend is from Costa Rica, so her first language is Spanish. And a few years ago, we went to Poland for Christmas, and we went to visit my cousin. And he's got two lovely kids, and at that time, one of them was, I think, about 4 years old, the other one was 7. So they were super excited to see this exotic being from a country they've never even heard about, who speaks this strange language called Español, and who doesn't speak any Polaco. So they were fascinating to teach her some Polish and to learn some Spanish from her, right? And, before the global warming kicked in, this is how winters used to look like in Poland. It was snowy, it was cold, it was winter-like before the global warming kicked in. But Costa Rica is a tropical country, right? So it's either hot and sunny or hot and rainy. But it's never wintry and snowy, right? So my girlfriend's Spanish vocabulary when it comes to winter is very limited, to say the least. But obviously the kids wanted to know some winter words. So they asked her about this. They asked her how to call a snowflake in Spanish. And she thought about it real hard. She thought about it. And she was like, pues chicos, creo que se llama un snowflake. O tal vez una snowflake. And they were so disappointed. You could hear them thinking, they were like, you don't know what a snowflake is in your own language? What sort of native speaker are you? I mean, a 4-year-old in Poland knows what a snowflake is. They didn't actually say it, but that's probably what they were thinking. They were even more disappointed when not only did she not know how to call an icicle in Spanish, she actually didn't know what an icicle was. It took a lot of explaining, miming, and showing pictures to explain to my girlfriend what an icicle was. Well, you don't get icicles in Costa Rica. So what I'm trying to say here is that even as a native speaker, even as a very educated native speaker of a particular language, you don't know all the words in your language. It's impossible. So let me give you another example. A few years ago, I was teaching in this city, that's Budapest in Hungary. I was teaching in the International House School there. And I was teaching this really advanced class that was preparing for an important English exam. So I'd prepared thoroughly for the class. We were doing a reading paper. I'd done all the exercises myself. I'd checked with the key. I'd underlined the words that I thought my students might ask me about. I'd even prepared little definitions and collocations because I knew they would ask me difficult questions. Well, and indeed, they did ask me difficult questions, but not about the words that I prepared for, as it usually happens. So one of the students was, well, teacher, what does this word mean? Cacinate. And I was like, well, I don't know, can I see the text? And I could kind of figure out from the context what it meant, but I wasn't going to lie to my students. So I just said, well, sorry guys, I'm not really sure. I'll just look it up in a dictionary. That was before the time everybody could Google translate things, And so I'll look it up in the dictionary. And as soon as I said it, I saw that disappointed look on the faces. The whole class was kind of thinking, yeah, if Marek was a native speaker, I'm sure he would know that word. And I could sense that look from them. So I just kind of hid embarrassingly behind the dictionary and tried to find a word. When I heard a knock on the door, I can't do knocking very well, but there was a knock on the door, and the door opened, and a face appeared in the door. And the face said, hello mate, sorry to interrupt your class, but do you happen to have a dictionary? That was Derek, my English-speaking friend. So I thought I had to use this opportunity to make my point to the students. So I was like, yeah, Derek, I do have a dictionary. Actually, I'm using one at the moment. But perhaps if you can explain this word to us, then maybe I can give you back the dictionary and you can use it. He was like, yeah, sure, no problem. What's the word? Well, it's this. And he was like, what's the context? Give me this text. So he looked at the sentence, he thought about it, he looked at the students, he thought about it for another while. He said, no, mate, you better look it up in the dictionary, I'll go somewhere else. And he left. So I think I made the point to my students because I never saw that disappointed look on the faces again at my not knowing a word. So what I'm trying to say here is, again, that as a native speaker of a particular language, of course you do have a wide vocabulary, but there will be words that you won't know. Like it was in Spanish. There's hundreds of words, thousands of expressions that as a native speaker you won't know. Same goes for non-native speakers. It has nothing to do with your nativeness or lack thereof. What matters here is your preparation for the class, your ability to explain the word, to give students collocations, to show them how to learn the language.
To stay up to date, follow TEFL Equity on social media. We're on Twitter at TEFL Equity, on Google+, on YouTube, and on Facebook. You can also visit the website for free resources such as lesson plans, webinars, and blog posts. And you can also support the campaign for equal professional and employment opportunities for native and non-native speakers.